simulation was developed by the U.S. Attorneys Association and has been used in multiple places to simulate the first 4 weeks of life after prison. So that's what you're going to be doing. In just a minute, we'll get started and you can open your packets, but I don't want you to open them yet. I want to give you just a few details. Because we have a smaller number, we're going to set this, I think we set it in 8-minute weeks. 8-minute weeks. So you will, there on your life card, there will be a list of things that you are supposed to accomplish each week. You'll have 8 minutes to accomplish those. When we tell you that time is up, you have to come back to your seat. When you come back to your seat, there's going to be another card in your seat that gives you additional details about your life. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. You know, life happens. You will work your way through the stations around the room that will have the services that you need to be able to accomplish the goals. And if you don't accomplish what you're supposed to accomplish, or if you violate something in some way, jail is always an option. The police are always here to make sure that you comply with the conditions of your parole. A couple of things to note: every time you attend a station, you must have a transportation ticket. I don't care if you walked, I don't care if you got a ride from a friend, you have to have a transportation ticket. Another thing is that you always have to have an ID. And so you'll keep those two things in mind. Your name tag must be on you at all times. This is your felon ID card. If you do not have your felon ID card on you, that is grounds to be back to jail. So make sure that you have that visible. You can give plasma, but you can only give plasma a maximum of 2 times a week. So keep that in mind. You must receive food each week. You cannot survive without eating. So please make sure you attend to those types of needs and don't get distracted by other things. Your packet will let you know how often you have to see your probation officer and attend treatment or counseling. So make sure you pay attention to those things. There are lots and lots of things that you have to do to comply with the conditions of your release. Please do not violate them or you go to jail. All right? Note that adaptations are completely up to you. If you barter with each other or whatever, that's up to you. Just don't get caught, because if you are caught fraternizing with another felon, you go back to jail. So, let the games begin. May the odds be ever in your favor. Another 9 to 10 million people cycle through jails, local jails, annually. And roughly 40% of former federal prisoners and more than 60% of former state prisoners are returned to prison within 3 years of release. What you're experiencing today are some of the barriers to successful reentry and some of the reasons that people are returned to prison within that first 3 years. All right, so how many people accomplished everything on their card for week 1? Nobody? I don't know why. What's wrong with you? Why did you not get your shit done? Right?
Hard enough.
You're just not working hard enough. I'm thinking some of you need to go to spend some time in jail. But week 2 is beginning.
Go.
How many people have not eaten in 2 weeks? You ought to be getting a little weak by now. All right. I know there's a lot of confusion. Do you think that this confusion you feel is similar to the confusion that someone feels who has been inside prison and is given a one-way bus ticket and $20 in a check? That nobody tells them where the bank is to cash it, and they don't have an ID to cash it anyway. All right? So we expect you to feel confusion. Just keep going. Bear with it. If you didn't get things done in week 1 and week 2, you still got to get the things done from week 1 and week 2 and week 3. You can't just pick up in week 3. Like you gotta get everything done. Try harder, work harder, sleep less.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right? Yes. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right. Therefore.
Hey, I have a question.
Hey, Kenneth, yeah.
Can we make up probation and treatment? Because they were telling us we could, like from week 1.
Well, if you go to jail for it, then maybe you can make it up. I don't know. What do you think, probation officer? Can they make it up or not? No?
They're not gonna make it up. You're going to jail, then you'll come back and we'll look at what it is that you need to be doing going forward, right? And you're gonna be in the hole, and, yeah.
So you gotta tell them, look, I just got out of jail for
Yeah.
this.
And I do not have purpose.
Let them know you just got out of jail for this because you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
All right, a few more facts for you. It costs an average of $78.95 a day to keep an inmate locked up. The United States now spends more than $68 billion annually on federal, state, and local corrections. High rates of recidivism. You know what recidivism is, reoffending or getting either a new offense or a violation of parole, a technical violation. Means more crime, more victims, and more pressure on an already overburdened criminal justice system. You guys experienced an overcrowded jail here, all right? Studies indicate that high-quality jobs diminish the likelihood of recidivism. How many of y'all got a job yet? What? We got 3 people with jobs. That's all? What is? Oh, 4 people with jobs.
We're being so lazy.
All right. Week 3 is about to begin. Go. influence individuals who have the authority to hire people despite their criminal record, to influence policy, to influence the way others see those who are formerly incarcerated. Successful reintegration into the workforce translates into safer neighborhoods, stable families, pro-social structured activities for former offenders, reduced taxpayer costs for reincarceration, living wages for a former offender to support him or herself and family, income for restitution to victims, courts and correctional supervision fees, continued mental and behavioral health treatment, and child support when necessary. So achieving successful reintegration is not just good for the former offender. It's good for the whole community and provides the stability and all that we need for the whole community. So I hope that you learned something from this. We are going to have a discussion. We've got some special guests.
I'm Felicia Dixon, I'm from Gadsden, Alabama. I was incarcerated 3 times, believe it or not. It took me 3 times to get it right. All of my charges were theft and property, and drugs. I had a 15-year sentence this last time. I was on community correction for 3.5 years. My sister went to prison for a car wreck she had, and someone got killed. So she went to prison. I was on community correction at the time, and I'm sure she didn't go back to finish my sentence because my sister had never been in trouble, and she had a situation. She went to prison. I was allowed to go and spend another year, 1 year with her, and a lot of people say, "Wow, that is crazy to go to prison." I wasn't doing right anyway. I was what we call drinking stuff to pass your sentence, getting away with it. Like, say for instance, the tickets, the transportation tickets, and so you get your ticket back, it's still violating, it's still going on. And so I did go back to prison. I just got out October 6, 2020. On 4 years clean, drug-free. I'm still having a hard time now about this application thing. Believe it or not, every application I've put in since I've been out, I've been rejected a job. And this is my 2nd year out, and I'm unemployed, volunteering in everything that I possibly can to reestablish myself and stay connected. I'm glad to be here today. And no, I'm not ashamed about telling you who I am and where I've been. If it can help you and keep you from going, then I want to do everything I can to let you know that I'm 56 years old. I started getting in trouble at the age of 19. And I told you that I've been in prison a couple of times. I'm 56 now, no kids. My life passed by me so fast, y'all, that I ran out of opportunities to even have kids. So don't do what I did, do better. Thank you.
Wow. Well, how many people that's sitting in the audience have either had some experience with the law, maybe have a loved one or a friend that has been incarcerated? Thank you for your bravery. And how many of us understand a little bit about the criminal justice system before today? A little bit. And how many of us believe that if you commit a crime, you should go to jail, serve your time, and move on? And how many believe that it doesn't make a difference? And I like to have honest conversation. This is before I introduce myself to you. Just as a person, me, sitting here.
Do you think you should be able to move on beyond?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tell me why you believe that.
Me?
Yeah, sure.
Well, my mom she was in and out of jail my whole life, and she still is that person, and, being her daughter, I believe that, I think everyone has room for change, even though she's not showing that she wants to change. I feel like maybe one day has that realization. I think all we can do is hope for loved ones like that, and I hope that she has that realization and wants to, you know, get clean and get out. So, yeah, it's just more like a hope thing.
Okay. Anybody else brave enough to step out there and get a girl something?
I think, you make mistakes, stuff happens, you know, it's very situational.
Okay. Well, I'm Dina Dickerson. I am the COO, the Program Director of the Offender Alumni Association. I'm a certified peer support specialist. I am a repeated offender. I'm a nonviolent offender. I am what in 2000 society deemed as a menace to society. I was sentenced to 114 years. I actually served 10 years on the 114 years. I started that sentence in 2002. I was released in 2012. I left 2 children at home. They were 4 and 6 when I returned. They were 14 and 16. I am a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober for the past 20 years. 10 years, and 2 years into my freedom and my transition and going through all the challenges in which you guys just experienced, with one thing that gave me hope and gave me strength was I cannot go back to jail again. And so whatever it took and whatever I had to go through, that's what I surrendered to doing. A lot of principle, a lot of soul searching, a lot of self-helping of self, because the institution that I was in did not allow me to get an education while I was there, because I was a long-time offender, meaning that I had enough time to rehabilitate. And so I did 10 years without a GED, and when I came home, that's the first thing that I did. I entered into a junior college to get my GED, because I had dropped out of school in the 8th grade, and I left home at 14 years old with a bright idea based on my feelings, believe it or not. And so, ironically, the worst thing that has ever happened in my life turned around and has become somewhat the best thing that could have happened. And so, the Offender Alumni was born out of an idea from our founder, Deborah Davis, in 2014, 2 years after I came home. Still struggling, still just trying to make it. I was making $7.25 an hour at a voting warehouse, and I was bringing home $280. And I was like, man, how y'all people making it out here? Like, goodness, I mean, I couldn't figure it out. I just couldn't figure it out. And gas was $3.59, and when I left, it wasn't $2 yet, and milk and eggs was, and it was like I was just trying to figure it out. So I was going through all these overwhelming emotions, and thoughts was racing through my. But I just had to stay. I just had to do whatever was necessary. Didn't know how to text, all this kind of stuff, and just plan it back. And I remember the job. I had a job before I got out of prison, and it was through a work release program. And I was at this job for 5 years. And when I got out, I was still working at the job, because I was told that you do not leave a job without having a job. And I was a person that had never worked before. And so I can remember having to report to my probation officer every month. And whenever I would hear that there was a job fair, I would put clothes on to go report, and then I would go to the job fair, and then I would put on my coveralls to get back to work, because the employer made sure that he reminded me that our relationship was based on me being incarcerated. So nothing about, I had never worked, I don't know anything about having a vacation, I wasn't getting any benefits, I mean, all this kind of stuff. And so I just continued to work. And I'm so afraid that if I left the job without having a job, I wasn't going to be able to get a job, because they don't hire people that's been incarcerated. So I would go to these job fairs, and I would change clothes like Clark Kent. Is that Clark Kent? Yeah. Yeah, I would do that. I would do that. And so finally, I was going to these groups that I was supposed to go to. They had told me that there was a support meeting at this homeless shelter. And I would go there every day before work, and I would go to work. And I would go there every day before work, and I would go to work. And this particular day, I went in, and the maintenance guy was at the desk and he was supposed to sign my paper. I didn't know he was a maintenance guy at the time. And he was supposed to sign my paper for every meeting that I attended, and this day he told me, he said, you're not gonna see it for 2 weeks. He said that, my boss is making me take off for 2 weeks for comp time, he said, and they're gonna pay me. And I said, well, what kind of job you got that they'll pay you to be off work, you know? And he's like, oh, I don't work right here. And I was like, you don't? And he was like, no, I'm just sitting here because we don't have anybody to cover the shelter. He said, you'll be good for that. And I was like, oh yeah. He said, well, get me your resume. And I'm excited, right? He's like, give me your resume and I can get you an interview and a job. I was like, you can? He's like, yeah, you can. And I'm like, man. And I'm excited, you know? And I get in my car and I drive off and halfway up the street, I realize I don't have a resume. I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? And so I go to work and I get to this place that I was going to classes at night after I leave my job to take these classes for Microsoft Word and introduction to that arena because I had missed a whole decade of the technological age. The last time I was carrying anything was a beeper. Don't do it. Don't do it. I knew it. Stop it.
It was probably one of the clear ones.
Right. When I hit you with the 411 and you're turning upside, stop it. I'm gonna tell you my age in a minute. And I had this pocket where they have phone on it that you like hold it up to the ear like a baby to stop. So anyway, I'm like, man. So I go to Microsoft Word class and I tell my instructor how my morning went and what this guy had asked for. And I said, but I don't have a resume. He said, well, we'll help you build one. And I said, you will? He's like, yeah. So let me get everybody else situated and all this stuff. So of course we were learning how to make flyers and Word documents and all this kind of stuff. And so when he came to sit with me to start building my resume, he said, well, only thing I need you to do is tell me everything, all of your experience, everything you've done. I said, this is crazy. And he's like, no, I said, this is Mr. Rutledge, what's his name? I never forget this guy. He said, I said, man, I cannot tell you the stuff that I've done. And so he said, well, and I said, well, he said, what did you do while you were there? I told him I had went to a welding class and all this kind of stuff. And he said, what did you do before? And I told him, he said, well, you got people skills. And he started laying this thing out. And when we got finished and I looked at it, oh, I was so impressed. I mean, it just made it look so lovely, but what happened was, without all of the labels and all of that, and just telling him my experience with life, he had created this person that I didn't even know existed. And I got that job at the homeless shelter. And I actually retired from it in August of last year. And I came on full time after serving with the Offender Alumni for the first 7 years of its existence. And became their first full-time employer, me, Dina, right? And after it was born in 2014 to be an environment for individuals like myself that came home and just needed some support. We need to talk about what we're going through and all this stuff, because I do believe with the right support and care, we can actually make decisions to move our life forward. But oftentimes in a mental and an emotional state, which you guys experienced, right? That's where we end up being, and before you know it, I'll make a dumb decision that'll be dumb to everyone else, but it'll be a bright idea to me to pick up another Absolutely Cranberry, which is something that I absolutely cannot do, right? My grandbaby, I'm gonna stop once I tell you this. She was here with me about 3 weeks ago, and she said, Mimi, and we have this youth program that we do as well. And she says, Mimi, why do you be like drinking coffee? She's 8. I said, I just like coffee. She's like, you drink it all the time. And now is an opportunity to like shed some light on her. What do I say to her? And I'm like, So I just take a deep breath, right? Because I gotta be a grandmother. I haven't even been a mother. And I say, well, Mimi can't drink cold beer. And she's like, I said, because I'll be in the back of the police car. You know, I drink a cold beer. Yeah, it'll be one of those things. You know, I'm the crazy person that's drunk, that hate jail, don't want to go to jail. And the minute I get to drinking, and you say, just calm down, Dina, because if you don't calm down, I'm going to call the police. You know what I say?
go ahead, go.
Like real loud and sit there like I'm waiting. I'm like waiting. So after 10 years of being clean and sober and not doing anything while I was incarcerated, being able to look back over my life and just see some things that need to be readjusted, that was one of them. You cannot drink it. Do you like it? Yes. Are you one of those people that can drink? No. So today the chooses not to drink. And my life has gotten extremely better. I'm gonna yield to the floor, just in case you guys have any questions. A little bit about OA is that we started as a support group. That worked out well, and then we started going into the prison so that people in prison know that we're here and available to connect them to the resources. We become peers, we attach ourselves to each other. She lost a sister a few months back. Her mother got sick about 8 months ago. This was after we had reconnected, maybe a year almost, maybe almost a year ago, because I pick my friends very, I have to pick my friends that I'm gonna accept friend requests from. And so we were incarcerated together, and somewhere, somehow we reconnected through Facebook and all that. And she's in Montgomery, and her mom got sick, and she went to Gaston, and nothing was in Gaston. And Gaston hadn't been a very friendly place for her. And she had to go and take care of her mom. Her mom is doing better now, 6-7 months into it, so we continue to talk and to be that supportive piece that we've been in Birmingham and in Atlanta and in Savannah, which I'm on my way there now because they are celebrating their year chapter this week. And so I'll be there. And if any of you guys know NAAA, Al-Anon and all that stuff, that's what we sort of kind of market after with a twist to it. And so we continue to talk and everything to support her because she needed someone to be in that space, even though we couldn't be there physically oftentimes. And then we'll jump in a car and drive 45 minutes to where she is because she's that important. If this is what it's going to take to help her maintain her sobriety, if this is what it's going to take to help her maintain her freedom, then this is what we do. And April the 5th, the first Tuesday of this month, April, her and another girl opened the chapter of OAA. So she lost her sister in December. She went into the hospital and she lost her sister. And so to be there in that space, because that was very painful. These are one of those things that happen for many of us that make us make a decision that our children and our family members and friends don't understand why they keep doing this. Because we aren't equipped to handle life on this term like normal people without coding it and covering it with something that inevitably tear our life up and hurt the people that we care about. So now the floor is open because we started a new program and all this stuff, but I'm just gonna open the floor for any questions right now.
You can ask questions about the simulation or about anything else, saying, yeah, was it real?
Yeah.
That's a question that always gets asked, but I'll let you guys come up with your question.
And be honest with yourself, structure your own biases, whatever comes up, let it come out. You're not gonna hurt our feelings, we just don't. We've been through quite a few things, brave heart, give her some, snap.
I promise I'm not being brave. I talk all the time.
That's Dr. Sarah Buck down. Yes.
I work with her. I wanted to know how you got into sobriety within prison. One of y'all, like, how did you decide that that was something you needed to do?
Well, me being a drug addict, I didn't drink. My dad, my mom was alcoholic. And so, for real, I thought that was just cheap. You know, I'm just, there was alcoholics and I never wanted to drink. Well, I did get into cocaine, and so it was like a sophistication for a moment.
Got it.
And it was the group of people that I hung with. So it you know, that's the grandiose part of it, that's the illusion. And it just, you know, once it gets you, it was like a spiral that I thought was going up, but the whole time it was going down. And so after I had visited my judge's chamber, a couple of times. My judge and I developed a friendship. I just talked to him last week, that he saw something in me that I just couldn't see in myself. For a judge to say, Ms. Dixon, he said, for you to ask me to go back to prison is bewildering, you know, but I would let him know that I had a situation, I had a problem, and it wasn't just violating the law. My problem was running away from home. My problem was not wanting to face the fact that I was broke, I was a black female, and that I was uneducated for one thing, that I couldn't have kids, that I had chosen to get on drugs, that I grew up in poverty. All these things that I was running away from was the very things that was keeping me drunk and drunk. So, anything that you wanna ask me, and I'm gonna tell you. Because anything that's bothering you and it's keeping you from being open and honest, it'll get you drunk. It will get you drunk. I did not know that I had a drug habit because we was ballers, you know. We thought that this, you know, what ballers do, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the night. But it balled me right into the penitentiary.
So what made you decide to get sober?
The fact that I kept going to jail. I kept going to jail. Nothing was changing for me. And when the judge said, I can't sentence you, Felicia, but I can send you back up the remainder of your sentence, I knew that that was the last chance because I wasn't going to get another case. And I knew that I had to get it together. I'm 56 years old today.
Any future lawyers, any future legislators? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Right?
How about voters?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we got to be informed, you know, if we really care about our neighbors, and we hear this all the time, and I just posted some on Facebook on Monday, that yesterday, which was that Sunday, which was Easter, is the reason why our hearts should have been changed today, as it relates to people and forgiveness and our ideas, you know. And so the reason I ask that is because you guys are the ones that's going to create the shift that's needed. I mean, and that's looking at it from a human space. And that's going into that place that we're all been affected by something. And the decisions we've made, your mom has made, it's not who she is.
No.
It's just something that we've done. And how is it that we can create solutions and pathways to those solutions in order for us to have safer communities and truly be our neighbor's keeper? You know what I'm saying? And so we wanted to join that effort even though we had to create it on our own. But it's not just an offender group, it's everybody group that wants to contribute to the life and to humanity for those that have been directly and indirectly impacted by our criminal justice system. And what we want to do is change things without changing systems. We understand these systems, they have been designed to do exactly what they're doing, so they're really not broken.
Yeah, they're very successful.
Right, they're doing what they're doing. And the thing is, we in our minds today, in 2022, just don't understand why is it like that. But we just need to be brave enough to go back far enough and see exactly why it's like that and why we need to change it. I mean, because it can be and it will be done with the people that sit in this room. And we will fight, and fight we must. You know what I'm saying?
I'm curious about something as a facilitator of a simulation like this, and how many of you guys feel like this is just a bunch of stuff we made up? Do you think it was real? Do you think it's based in reality? Because here's your experts that can tell you whether, you know, how real is the experience that you had for only this 45 minutes? How real do you think that is?
Do you think it was just too hard? Much harder than what it actually is? Or do you think it's really that difficult?
And several of you guys called me up here and said, can I just go back to jail? Like, I get to eat there.
I have to go back.
But do you see how this could play out in somebody's real life?
How many of you got told wrong information, like, go over here to get this document, or you need to go to that place? I can't do that. Okay, So she talked about her paperwork getting lost, right? And these are the people that are supposed to have the paperwork. So that happens. I mean, I had a person whenever I was working for the state hospital who was never given a public defender for their entire case. Is that legal? No. Did it happen? Yes. Went to court and everything. It never was in front of a judge, prosecutor, was sent to a psychiatric facility. So never had an attorney. So the conflicts, the way that it's supposed to work, all these things actually happen.
The confusion, the absolute confusion is you saying, I don't know where food is. How can I get there? I don't know where the bank is. Well, how different was your community 10 years after you got, when you came back 10 years after you?
Oh, it was hard. It was absolutely hard. I couldn't drive for 4 months because I didn't have a driver's license and couldn't get a driver's license. So I had to prove to them who I was. And so I had to get birth certificates and social security cards. And then my godparents had to take me back and forth to work every day for 4 months. And when I went to take my documents to get my driver's license to the DMV, the lady snatched all of my papers and just ran out the room. I'm like, what's she doing? You know? And then she came back in and she had the captain of the troopers and, you know, some other officers. And I'm like, oh man, this was like some jailhouse stuff right here. And I had to sit there and all of my old instincts to try to find where to get out. One door, and I'm gonna get out of here, they were there. I can't sit here, you know, but I'm panicking and all of that, I just cannot go to jail. I've only been out for a few months, and I just did 10 whole years, and this is like definitely put me, man, Jesus. And so, they kept my paperwork and told me all these hoops that I need to go through, and there was something in the fraud, and then I had to call Montgomery and talk to someone down there, and just back and forth, and then one day at work, I got a call, Ms. Dixon, this is, you know, Trooper Bella from Montgomery, are you at work? And I'm like, yes, ma'am. What time do you get off? Do you live in the same place? What? What does that mean? Like, are you guys gonna have a place surrounded when I get there? You're talking about, she was talking about mental health. We're talking about these anxieties that I'm experiencing without medication. You know? And I'm like, oh my goodness. I was like, yes, ma'am. She's like, you make sure you go straight home. Are you driving? I'm like, no, ma'am, I'm not driving. But your mind said, but before you said, am I driving? You're telling me to go straight home, you know? So I'm like, oh my goodness. So I tell my big daddy when he picks me up, which is my godfather, I tell him, I said, big daddy, you're gonna take me straight home. Big people call me straight to you. I'm like, yeah. You okay? I'm like, yeah, big daddy, I'm okay, but I gotta go straight home. And it just was so much just to get the driver's license. And then when I got the driver's license, I'm driving like Miss Daisy, I'm not going over speed. This is no lie, real story. I'm taking my driver's exam, and we do this 3-point turn, we do all this, and we get on the main road, you know, just to go on the main road. And I'm driving like this right here, and you have to have me in at 3 o'clock or whatever. So I'm driving. And so the trooper says, Mr. Dickerson, and I said, yes, sir. He said, this is a 4-lane highway. You can speed up at any time. And he was like, he was tripping. I mean, so I get the license and everything. The first time I filled my truck up is $60 out of $280. So all of these new things that was taking place, and just trying to remember that I got to do everything right. Like I can't make any mistakes. Couldn't leave a job, because that's gonna put you in violation if you quit the job. You know, you can't move without permission and all of that. And then the only thing that I really wanted to do when I got home was I needed to get my children. And that was the thing that kept me going every day. He said, I need to get out so I can get my children. And then I had to be at a halfway house for 6 months. And then I couldn't leave.
There's a picture of me.
Sure.
This is a picture of me. This was me, y'all.
So I couldn't move for 2 years, because I could not
Yes,
move
so
without
many
my
cases.
probation telling me that I could move. So, that's what I did. And my son ended up turning 18, and my daughter was with her dad. She was 16, and then by the time I got my own place, I didn't want to leave their friends and all that. So I never really got a chance to really love my children in the way that I heard everybody else when they get out. So that's probably one of my biggest regrets as it relates to, and that's the biggest motivation that I've had as well. So.
Now you're mean.
Yes, indeed.
Now she's.
Any more questions out there? What's on your mind? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, how helpful was like your community with like being after 10 years or even after your shorter sentences, like coming back into that, like how was the community just like.
I didn't go back home. When I got out of prison this time, I was not, I had a whole mindset that, when I didn't get out March the 16th, I was like, it's something God is trying to tell me. You know what I'm saying? That I got to sit here. I didn't know why they were holding me in prison and everything that I was doing to try to get out of prison. They were telling me my time, I hadn't served enough time, and I'm looking out at y'all. But during that time, instead of getting mad, instead of getting angry, I started really saying, what am I gonna do if I did get out? If you get out right now today, what are you gonna do? I was broke, I didn't have money, didn't have a job, and I was gonna go right back to my town. I went to what they call the AIM House. It's aid to inmate mothers in Montgomery, Alabama. Carol Rotop is the director and founder, and I stayed there. She got my driver's license. First time I had ever had a driver's license, y'all. And I really wanted to do an inauguration. I had got my driver's license, birth certificate, social security card. While I was in prison, I had a chance to meet professors from Auburn, Cadam. They came. I took art classes while I was there. Like I said, all the classes that they had for self-help, I took all those classes. I had made up mine that I was not coming back. I was too old to be in prison. I was too old to be following rules and regulations. And then there was younger people in prison, and my heart was going out to them because I knew what they were about to go through. And so in order to make a difference from this side, I just want to leave with you all that we do recover, we do change. There are second chances, but the thing about it is that person got to want to change. You got to want to be different, and that's exactly what I wanted. I stayed at the AIM House up until my mom got sick. My sister called and said my mom was sick, and that I needed to come home to help take care of her, and it was my sister that died. And so I still got my mom. We fight every day. We still into it now about her going to the doctor, but I thank God that my life has been restored. I thank Him for the rooms of OAA. I do volunteer service. I don't have a job right now because I'm a convicted criminal. And then you're a career criminal. And then, but the thing about that is this last job on my phone I got where the lady did the interview and she said, oh, I'm so sorry. And I said, no, it's your loss. I said, because there's a lot of people that's coming out of prison, and guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna show up on time. They're gonna be the group, need a job, for one. And so I told her that about OAA, and I told her that I was in room recovery. I told her that I would be an asset to her by speaking with people that come to her for a job and they got convictions, send them to me so I can keep them uplifted, keep them encouraged, keep them persevering and pushing. You know what I'm saying? I left her out court. Call me if you got anybody in your family or know somebody that has a problem, send them to me. You know what I'm saying? So that we can help them. Because telling a person no, and at the age of 56 years old, trying to get back to society, they could have sent me back to drugging and drinking and stealing. But it just made me strong, y'all. I'm at the college right now talking to y'all. You know what I'm saying?
What's your question?
I wanted to ask, and I'm kind of I'm a graduate student in social work,
incarcerated, I addressed my issue of jurisdiction and underlying sentence. I had an underlying issue, and I knew to go to mental health. I had some good people. Dr. Lily was my doctor. She diagnosed me. She gave me medication that I knew I wouldn't have did on the street. But once I realized that it helped me, I still take medication for anxiety, depression. I take it sometimes. I take it when I need it or when I feel like, a lot of times, Bella, last week I had a outburst and then it was like, calm down, honey. Wait a minute now, you know, and it was at the church. I was at the church function, you know, and so, we were getting away free gas. And, so Dina was like, calm down, honey, you know, so, I have days when, I got a job or whatever, and Dina said, well, come ride to Georgia. I said, you on the way to Georgia, it's a 4-hour drive. But you know me, you know, if I'm not antsy or nothing, I'm comfortable. It's okay to take medicine. It's okay to tell somebody you're gonna feel something. It's okay when somebody say, how you feeling today? I'm not with it today. I'm just, if you ask me now, I don't have to say, oh, I'm all right. If I'm not feeling it, I'm gonna say, hey, I might need to listen to this, you know, I don't care what it's about. Sometimes I don't even know why I'm feeling that way. I wake up sometimes and don't even know why I'm pissed off. You know, sometimes I just don't wanna talk. And then you'll call Dina, you know, and she would just go on to find out, say, well, Dina, I'll holler at you later. Oh, okay, I'm talking too much, all right. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, I did. I have a doctor. I had 2 doctors. One of them is in Mobile and one of them is in Louisiana. She can't practice in Alabama. But it took that for me, y'all. It took, you know what I'm saying? It takes a village to raise one child.
Well, we know that mental health is definitely for the service providers, and it's really inside and out. It's just not enough. And right now, our systems are being flooded with those persons that have mental health challenges because of the closing of the hospitals and all that. We really just look at it. And so we need more of it. We actually need OT inside of institutions where we're working with people to bring them to a place where they can be successful as individuals and stop pumping people up. Me myself, I didn't do anything. I just did 10 years. It seemed like I did stuff on my own. But being out here now, and a part of the work and a part of the solution, you see it with a different face. Even in working in homelessness and realizing that many of the persons that are coming out of incarceration will come out into homelessness. Many of them have those underlying issues that's untreated. And so I think we're just doing the persons that are incarcerated a disservice because we feel as a nation that the incarcerated individual is the solution. That's what it is. Oh, you did this, so go to jail. That's not the solution though, right? It's just like we're working with kids in an alternative school and they don't have anything in there for cognitive behavior. There's no trauma-informed care, nothing implemented in that arena. And they go to classes like they would if they were at their regular school, but they come back over there when they get back to their regular school because no one has really addressed what it is that's causing this issue. And that's what we're suffering with as a nation as it relates to mental health. And we're seeing it now, and I think the pandemic exposed it even more. And I also believe that those that either was undiagnosed before the pandemic or may have not even had an issue at all. This may have triggered something, right, when we're thinking about it. And so now we're able to look at individuals as people, and we go by this thing called acceptance is the answer to all my problems. When I'm disturbed, there's a thing, a something, a person that's unacceptable to me, and as we're talking now, we're listening to people, we're doing life, and we're accompanying each other as neighbors do. If I'm Stacy's neighbor and something's going on with Stacy and Jeff and all them, and I see it, I'm gonna go to their aid if it's bringing her a pie, you know? And that's what neighborly stuff is, right? And we should do that in every facet and area of our life. But move to the social workers.
Yeah. That's why I showed my picture. It's hard to see me now and I'm sitting here talking to you. I wanted to show you, you know what I'm saying, that that was me. And look at me now, you know, a totally different person, you know, and I like me today. And substance, when I see other people that I know from my past, because I'm still at home in Gaston now, and people that I hung out with, they be like, and I'll be like, yeah. And, I hug them, and I make purses, I call them packer purses, and I pass out these purses with, hygiene and stuff in them. Guys, I get them, with white, well, I don't call them purses, but, I get them a care package, you know what I'm saying? That's my way of giving back. Also letting them know that, I love them, and I love hanging out with them. But let's hang out in the right rooms. And if you see me, and we used to hang out all night together, and here I am saying, oh, hey, and Dina, and we do recover and stuff, it gives them hope. Because a lot of them are coming in and tuning in. For that, I'm grateful.
Any more questions as it relates to reentry?
Yeah, I think
Justice?
maybe we got time for like one more question, because we're gonna wrap up. It's kind of been a long afternoon for everybody, but we don't wanna leave a question unasked yet. Oh, we got two. We'll take two. We got two. There's one here, and let's go here and then you. Okay, so.
So I'm really curious about how your experience was in prison. Did you have a set schedule or program that they mandatory to attend?
No, rehabilitation isn't a mandatory thing, it's left up to the individual. And so, what I did and take from that is that persons that are broken, persons that are making irresponsible choices, that's the only choice that you leave an individual when you come through the back gate. Now they'll strip you naked and they'll spray you down with light spray so they can de-lice you. You can stand there with this gook on you for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes naked in front of a room of 20 people that you do not know.
Cut your hair.
Yeah, they can do all of that, and no rights in no kind of way, and everything else is their decision about you. But the only decision that they leave you is to rehabilitate yourself. And the majority of the persons, if you look at the data, it says that they have mental health challenges, they have substance use disorders, they are undereducated, all of this stuff that speaks to the pre-sentencing investigation, and we're not addressing that once they get there. That's another part of our system that's designed. You say it's broken, so let's use that word for everybody else's comfort, right? And it's your choice, they say. But then if there's not a choice, then what is? I didn't have a choice to rehabilitate myself because you took that from me because I was a long time offender. So it's sort of kind of like a catch-22, right? You got enough time to do some, let's see you next year. And that we sat in front of a board just like this every year. They had to look at your jacket, see where you are, and see what they're gonna recommend for you to do. They're gonna recommend what they're gonna have, and that's your state job. You can go to the trade school's state job. You can go to the kitchen and all that, but that wasn't part of the state job that I was afforded. So anyway, it's just one of those things. I thought I saw another.
There was in the back.
So OAA, you guys operate like an AA, like an NA, kind of the same foundation, like meetings and a support group essentially.
We do.
In AA, you have to say how you're alcoholic. AA is real tough, and NA is drugs. In OAA, we talk about everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever the need is, it can be an itch, we can try to
Let me give you a
scratch.
scenario. In February, we had a young man that came home at the age of 38. He went in at the age of 18.
Yeah.
And so when we got to the homeless shelter that had called us because he had actually walked from Donaldson Correction, he was like, he couldn't be still.
Walked from Donaldson?
They let him out at 12 o'clock was his EOS at midnight. And so they were gonna try to get him a bus, but someone to take him to the bus
I mean,
station.
I can't, that's a long walk, that's why I'm so shocked.
Yeah, it was like
Sorry.
5:30 or so when we got to the shelter that morning. It was the weirdest thing ever. And so when we get the call, it's like that. And, in those other spaces, people typically go to places where they can get help, where you don't know, so they give the call, so we show up, like an outreach, if you will. And so, just assessing him, he's a nervous wreck, right? I mean, just absolutely, he's checking out stuff. So I take him, I get him in the car, and I take him over to our office. And what I know is that they smoke a lot of cigarettes, they may smoke marijuana in there, whatever, but coffee. I mean, it's like roadside, you know what I'm saying? So, it's like, you alright? You want a cup of coffee? Man, yeah, I want a cup of coffee. I'm like, okay. And so then that was that common ground, right? And just to make it comfortable, in like maybe he was there maybe 30 minutes or so, and another gentleman in which we had peer supported, like the December before, December 2020, we got a young man that had went in at 20 and came home at 58. He had life without parole, right? And so for robbery without a body, and what that means, no one got killed, without pulling a weapon, but they gave him the habitual offender, they sentenced him up under that. So they gave him life without parole because of the 3-strike law. But when he came in, because he was actually released a year and a half before from Donaldson, what's going on, YG? Is that you? Man, you look good. And then that common camaraderie started slowing him up just a tad bit and sort of calmed him down some. Now, 2 months later, of course, we went and took him to a job site that will put him to work right away based on the relationship that I have with this guy that owns his own company. And that sort of kind of keeps him moving, you know, but how do you do real time and real situations with individuals, right? AA calls it a sponsor, right? We don't put a title to it because grown-ups like ourselves and as defiant as I have been, we don't want nobody to tell us what to do.
Yeah. So as far as like the association as a whole, so like you guys are basically headquartered in Alabama, Montgomery, Birmingham.
So we have
you-
one in Tuscaloosa, one in Gaston now, and the one in Huntsville we don't operate anymore because of COVID. And our home base is Birmingham. And then we partner with the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Atlanta, Georgia for the Project Safe Neighborhood Initiative. And with them, we work with the gun and gang members that are currently incarcerated at Metro. And we have 8 different hubs that we opened up as far as the support groups is concerned in the hot spots in Atlanta. That in turn allowed me to meet Mr. Julius, in which we conversated January, the year that Ronald got out in December of 2020. And so January we came to meet Julius to give Ron just a road trip, right? Does this sound familiar? Give Ron a road trip to meet Julius, because Julius have this platform on TED Talk where he gets it. That's the heart. He's like, man, I want to do something. And because the embodiment of OAA is a special piece, you just have to know what you know. Everybody can't open a chapter. You just have to know, because it's a moving, breathing organism. People really have to get this in order to do it. And so we go meet Julius, and in April, Julius started the first of last year. He started the first OAA in Savannah. And so what we do is we duplicate what we've done at home. And so now we have a youth group in Atlanta, just as we have in Birmingham, right? And so with our youth, it's truly to interrupt the school to prison pipeline, but that's the buzzword, right? Our real thing is let's get in there with these children that are living through real-time trauma and meet them where they are, and hopefully help them in a way and guide them to places and resources that can actually deal with that trauma and put them on pathways where they can be successful, meaning we as social workers need to know exactly where those resources are, because all of our children, especially now, they're coming from a deficit, most of them. Parents are incarcerated, have been, they're living in these disenfranchised communities and all of that stuff. But with our youth program, and a dear friend of mine, we were able to write for a grant that actually gives our youth a stipend on the weekend to work with them 4 hours, and then our coaches actually mentor them 3 hours during the week, right? My job is to meet people in order to connect my children to, as well as my adults, in spaces that they normally probably wouldn't even engage or know about. That said a lot.
Yeah, and I would respect that, I definitely respect that a lot, because you hear a lot about AA and NA, but I've never heard about you guys, and I think you definitely cater to a specific population, like people, but at the same time, you're not wearing the badge, you're not wearing the uniform, I feel like, and like the accountability course is essentially funded by the government, so it's all interconnected with the prison system as well. Not to say that it really means anything, but I don't know, it was good hearing about.
Well, do me one favor, I need you guys right now, pull out your phones, go to Facebook, like the Fender Alumni Association, just do that, just do that. That's what they told me, they said, they do not leave a room without letting them like your page, so that you guys can at least follow us, right? send some good energy up, right, or send some
Thank you so
across the
much.
globe.
Thank you so
Right.
much.
Offender Alumni Association. That's one, and then our youth page, right, is YCRI, and it should be in sort of kind of like an aqua color, like that. And it's called the Youth Career Readiness Initiative. And so we've had that since 2017. If all else fails, we have to buy bus passes, gas cards, and stuff like that for our people that are getting out, as you all know.
As you saw,
Yeah.
transportation.
Those are on the donation list if you were in my class for extra credit.
If you're gonna donate $5 a month, meaning $1.25 a week, you know, like, don't buy the Starbucks today. We would appreciate that, because what it actually does is we're 40 to an extent, we love donating ourselves, but we have people like your professor and Ms. Smoke that will come alongside us and try to find monies to help us continue, because we've been doing it for about 8 years now. This volunteer organization that want to help people, and we are 501c3, right? But if nothing else, thank you guys so much
So
for
much.
giving us your attention.